Welcome back to Romancing Grenada, Carriacou, Pitty-Matnick, and we are Romancing Grenada, Carriacou, Pitty-Matnick with Dr. Walter Orlando Simmons. And Dr. Orlando Simmons he's more known as Orlando Simmons. I get half people saying Walter Orlando Simmons and half people saying Orlando Simmons. We are romancing with him. He was one of SAASS superstars, one of the athletes that broke that barrier in 1980, and we're sharing those fantastic memories with him. I wasn't there at the time, but we heard it on the radio. And the neighborhoods were jumping up. So I am so excited to have you here. And apart from SAASS, we're also Seventh-day Adventists together. And I know now you were talking earlier before the break about coming back into Grenada in 2014, was it?
2014, yes.
2014. And so let's talk a little bit about that. You did some work there at the University of St. George's, but I know you also give back into the community. When you started, you say you didn't connect, but I think you meant you weren't physically there, but you do lots of community work. You give back to the community a lot, to the country. So let's talk a little bit now about 2014 and those NGOs you have, the sports club you support and so on.
Well, from 2014, I came because, you always felt that, you go away, you get all this education, and then what's next? It's not just about you have to give back, and so I made some decision. I said, you know what? I need to start visiting Grenada more often, because when I left 82, I didn't come back to Grenada until 87, I think. But again, that wasn't because I didn't want to come back. I didn't have no money. So basically, I was working in the summer to go to school, because when I left Grenada, I went to Oakwood College, now Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama.
Mm-hmm. And at Oakwood, I must say, as Adventist, to me, it's one of those schools are more expensive than the other schools.
Oh yes, very, very expensive, and and that was an experience. That was an experience in itself, because when I went there, I had to work. I work in the dairy. I used to milk cows in the morning and evening. Come on, I'm from Grenada. I got to get up, and then I work in the cornfield. I was a painter, was exterminator. You did what it took.
Right.
You have to.
But thank God you're Grenadian and you know these sort of things. Definitely. And from SAASS, you're an all-rounder. So.
And that's a discipline that, so getting up early, I did that all my life, so, and working, you just had to do, it was not a problem. So, but going back, to Grenada, so I came down to Grenada. One of my best friends in Grenada is Lennox Andrews, also known as Toes. Toes is my best friend, So all along, guys like Roland Joseph and Joseph Henry, they send medals home and so on. So every year they have the drive, so I'll contribute indirectly behind the scenes and so on, And Toes and I, we set up an NGO for, if there is any disaster stuff, we can contribute. But I've done a lot also for my church. I support Paradise Church. I think that's very important.
Paradise SDA Church.
Yes, Paradise Seventh-day Adventist Church. Yes,
right.
Because that's big for me. It's that's who I am. I'm Seventh-day Adventist. I'm Orlando. I'm a SAASS guy, but that's part of my identity.
But that's how you brought me back to who you were, because I would not have known you except you used to play the organ or the piano.
Yes, that's the thing, and and I come from a tradition there in Paradise with Bush. He was a farmer, and his Mello, my grandmother. She bought a piano and she couldn't play it. But yeah, she played with one finger, and I'm just in the process of writing the history. And so the playing the piano, then her daughter played the piano, my sisters played the piano in church, and then I took lessons so I could read music, and then I end up playing after too. And again, that was a struggle, because how Adventism is strict. So if you're gonna go going overseas to run, I was kind of known like the kind of church boy. Because, some of the events is on Saturday, and you had to give that up sometimes, because you can't run on a Saturday. So, when you're in Grenada, it's not much of a problem, because usually we do not have events on Saturday.
Right.
At least in the 1980s, we did.
We didn't, yes.
But when you travel and so on, then there are events on Saturdays and so on. So, you know, so that was a struggle. That was a struggle. But, you know, my thing.
So did they know that you were participating on Saturday?
You mean my mom?
Well,
I'll give you a joke. I remember when I was in Trinidad, you know, my mom said, "Are you going to run on Saturday?" I said, "Nah." But, you know, when they run the news, you know, you end up on the news. So you know, it's yeah. You know, it was a big challenge in the later years. After a while, you know, I went to Orchid and Son. I said, you know what, track, because in '82 I left Grenada. Then the Olympics was coming up. And I was feeling, because that time now, Liquish and Trevor and them are preparing for the Olympics. And I left in '82 at the peak of my, you know, and so I was like, oh, if I was in Grenada, but, you know, I don't regret those things, because people always say, well, you know, if you guys had the facilities that these folks have now, I don't know. You don't know. My attitude might have been different, you know. We made use what we had. We had sand. We had hills, we had stone, we had
rivers and stones.
We used what we had, you know. So people say, but what it gave us was the discipline, the discipline and the mindset. We like, and if you check, talking about the contribution that, you know, so now you have to use it as a stepping stone, you know. I haven't spoken with Buddy, but I've listened to Trevor. You know, I mean, Trevor was just okay. He went into forensic science. Now I think he told me that I heard that he's saying that he wants to do farming now.
He is, yeah.
Trix is a farmer now.
No, sorry, not farming. He's doing the industrial part. Processing, right.
You know, that's what he's doing now.
Trix is a farmer.
Trix is the farmer. You know, I want to do more writing and do more academic stuff that's local, because a lot of the history.
Livingston's a farmer as well.
Who's that is?
Livingston Nelson is also.
Oh, yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I mean, I know I'm talking all over the place, but Livingston in 2014, I really got to connect with Livingston, because while I was at the university, Livingston had his truck and he came down every day with his products to sell at the university. So I was traveling back and forth with him.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so we got to connect in 2014.
Athletics helps you build networks.
Oh, you just, I mean, it's just. I just hope that, you know, that our young people today, you know, are learning the discipline that comes with it. But it's not the same. It's a different generation.
It's a science now. It's a science.
Yes.
And I think they put them into specialized area right away. So we hardly have all-round athletes. They go into that specialized field right away.
Yes.
So, whereas you had to do all these things.
Yeah,
and I think it forced you to be resourceful. It forced you to be creative. But they're pampered, in my opinion. They're pampered. Which is good, but bad.
There's a lot of enabling.
Yes,
My mom has to come to the meet, and my pop has to come to the meet, and it's just a different mindset altogether. True. We in the 80s and 70s and 80s, we didn't need that. You know, we were basically self-motivated. I mean, the first time I lifted weights was with Matthew Parrott, who built the weights. He got old pans and he got cement and he made the weights from that. You know, we never lifted weights. You know, we ran on the dead sand and, you know, in Big Bay and so on. So, and the other thing too, along with the athletics, what we always did was at nights, we went to SAASS and studied for the entire night, you know.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, we stayed. I mean, during exam time coming up, we went to SAASS maybe 8 p.m. and so on until 5 in the morning. You know, with Ben. Ben is now one of the, forget Ben's last name, and Archibald and those guys and them. Yeah, we went to SAASS to study.
Wow. I mean, you guys, I never knew SAASS was that serious about academics either. But from the many stories I hear and how you excel academically, and it seemed like you need that marriage between sports and athletics
Definitely, definitely.
to
Well,
be where you are.
it really motivates you because, and that came again. I talked about Lennox Andrews, Ricardo Trotman. Those guys, they went to GBSS, and they stayed at the hostel in St. George's and so on.
Right.
So they felt that they were a little bit more sophisticated. We were country boys, so
Right.
when they came to tell us stories and so on. And I remember we used to go to the banana shed to study in Paradise Estate.
Well, people don't know what banana sheds are now, so
that's where they store and they process the bananas. You pick them from the trees, you brought them to the banana sheds, and you wrap them up and so on for shipment overseas.
Right.
Load them up onto the truck and so on. So it had nice. So we used to go there, during the summers and so on to study. And the point is, that's how I became interested in economics, because I don't know what told them, they usually have Time magazines and Newsweek, but I used to just read that stuff from.
wow.
We just read that stuff, So I used to read everything, Westerns, Louis L'Amour. We just read everything I can put my hand on. We just read because we had that.
You didn't have television, and if you had television, it was your parents limited you access to it.
We did not have any television, so so that was not an option. I remember that. No, I didn't. Around 1980 or so on, one of my, the neighbors down the street had television, but that was no big deal for us.
Right.
I mean, we got books, and Cressy, Mr. Julien, in Form 3, we were doing things like Latin and so on. Dominic Mitchell did Latin in GCE. We did Latin, and myself, Allison, that's his daughter again. We, so we had this strong connection. And Cressy taught us etiquette, how to use a knife and a fork. And how to dress. And Cressy is like he knew where we were going, and as country guys, we don't know about knife and fork,
Right.
So but he anticipated, he knew those type of stuff. Behave, deportment,
right.
How you carry yourself and so on. Because some of that we didn't get from our parents.
He was teaching you for life. It wasn't just for getting a GCE subject.
And we had some great conversation. Another, I know I'm going back and forth again. Another guy that teacher, Mr. Roberts from the Methodist School. Well, Mr. Roberts was the principal in Methodist School while I was there. And Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts just just to beat everybody sometimes.
Yes.
When he put on that green shirt, it seems like so. He subsequently came to SAASS.
Yes.
And I was teaching there along with him too in 1980 and so on. So I used to ask myself, man, Mr. Roberts, why did you just beat? And sometimes in SAASS, when students were not behaving right, I could see him just walking up and down. He's like
like a lion.
Yes, but very impressive man. He just was a disciplinarian, and in SAASS he taught Spanish and so on. So I had a chance now as a student, as a professional, to sit and talk to him about life. And he every morning 4 o'clock he would get up and walk around the airport. He played tennis.
I was going to tell you that. We hear about his strictness in Methodist and all that, but we got to see him in his white shorts and with a white thing.
Yes,
he used to come at one time to play tennis in Ledig. We had John Wells had a tennis court in their yard, and he used to come up there to play. So we got to see his playful side.
Yeah, so he's so those guys will, and then I got to give, but I'm jumping back to what I'm trying to do now in Grenada is, it's just you have guys like, Body Chest. There are certain things I admire, that he trains football. Soccer.
Go on, sec. So far you gave me, what was your nickname? I've gotten a nickname for everybody, Toes, but just, what?
Well, they used to call me Walter Doom.
Do?
Yeah, Walter Doom, DWM. Yeah. So,
why?
To be honest with you, I don't know why. To be, maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I really, truly, really Walter Doom. Maybe guys like Tiki and them may be able to recall why I was called Walter Doom.
Right.
Because in athletics, if you look at athletics, right, you had guys like, you had the natural guys, the gliders like Matthew Parrott and Eugene Lickwish. They were smooth, elegant.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the power guys, starting with me and was power. Then you had, the bull himself, Livingston, all power, yes. And then you had Tricks, multifaceted, every event, and Trevor was the track guru, and then in between you had Glidden and, and the other guys in them, So it was just a combination, but yet all of us did everything.
Yes.
But we just had individuals excelling at different things.
Yes. That is, to me, that's so holistic. It builds you all around. And it prepares you to be leaders and followers, to take the role of leadership. Because, and I hear those SAASS guys saying, well, for example, they know Trevor was going to win the javelin, but they will still participate because they're looking.
Oh, yes. In sports, there was like a given. On sports, they would say, okay, Lando is going to win the 1, the 2. Trevor is going to win the javelin, the discus, and the shot put. Trix is going to win the long jump, the triple jump. Yeah, it was, it is what that's what it was.
Yes, but you're going to go in there to get your house a point.
Yes. Yes.
You're not going in to win. You don't have to win everything. You're going in there just to be part of a team.
Mm-hmm. And the progression to our success, yes, it came from us too. But by 1980, I think the coaches and so on in Grenada, I remember Goatee, I think George Robinson, Goatee started coming up to St. Andrews and so on.
He was a GBSS or PBC guy?
Well, he was one of the coaches, the national coaches.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, and from 79 and so on, because by 79, I think Trevor went to the Caribbean Games. And then now they realized that, SAASS almost won in 79. So Goldie started coming up throughout the week and started bringing up starting blocks and so on for us and started coaching us, because at that time it was Glenn and Mr. Donald and
Games Masters.
Yes, those are the guys that were helping us. But we read a lot, we read about, the international athletes and so on. So we had, they recognized that, and we were big, if you saw Livingston and Godfrey, when they came to SAASS, they were big as the senior guys, maybe all that breadfruit and walking and so on that we ate. But I think it was diet, genetics, because when we went to St. George's for Intercol, here come the old men again from SAASS.
The giants came down?
Yeah, because we are just big and powerful.
I see those pictures.
People were kind of maybe intimidated and so on.
Yes.
And we haven't spoken about the ladies too, there was some outstanding, there is Lauren Lafoucade, Christiana Lashington, then there is she was on one of your shows. Andres and those, yes.
Alexander,
yes, But it was, it wasn't that the women were neglected. It was just that the guys just stood out, because, and I think it was just our time, I guess.
I think so. And in sports today, we tend to pay more attention to the men's team and men activities. My 2 kids play soccer, my son and my daughter, they played professionally. It was much harder to watch a girls' game. I mean, when I watch the boys' game, I'm so excited. I'm so elated. I'm watching the girl game. I'm eating my,
Yes, 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 yes.
So it was natural. But you are so you're sponsoring sports teams. You have an NGO in your village. You're giving back the community. And now I want to switch a little bit because you tell me you're doing you're basically trying to set up some history books. You're trying to write the history and also your family history.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, the family history started, we talked about my grandfather, they founded Paradise Seventh-day Adventist Church, which was the second Adventist church. The first one was Mount Rose. We started around 1903, 1904. Right. Then Paradise started around 1909, and they started it in the cocoa, the same cocoa where Farrell, we started sprinting. Yes, that's where the church started.
So is it the Farrell that gave the land to the church?
No, it wasn't.
I saw a documentary about that.
It was Gordon.
No, I couldn't.
Gordon that gave the land to the church where it is now on that site. But that's where it started, and it started with my grandmother. She met those missionaries. That's how the story goes. She was 11 years old, and she came home and she told her parents, and that's where the church really started. So, and they had 12 children. They had one of my uncles, Walter Douglas. He was a big-time professor at Andrews University, first Black professor. Then we had Benson, who was a lawyer at Andrews University.
Whoa.
This is a premier Adventist university. He was there.
Well, I must say the Douglas, for us, they're like the first family,
Right, and he did. So we had him. So the point is, I decided, we have to write about this stuff.
Absolutely.
Because so I decided that one way of going about it is that we have to start recording too, get the voices and so on, and so I'm maybe about 75%, completing that project. But so I'm not only writing about the Douglas, I'm writing about Paradise, St. Andrews, what was happening there and so on, and what's taking place, so those things are important. I'm going to just read one sentence to you here that kind of that will kind of give you an idea as to what how I'm kind of trying to set things up, because I think it's so important that that when as we are getting older, and if the story is not being told, then what happens?
Right. We lose it all. And that's one of the problems we have. I also write a lot. I'm trying to do so much writing. What I found here is you go into a library and you can find stuff on Jamaica. They write about the village, they write about houses, they write about funny people, they write about everything. And then they do all their cultural shows and stuff. And we have, when you look into our history, we have a lot more to offer and we don't record it.
Yep, they don't at all. So, so when I write is like, we talk about the home in Paradise Junction, and we say that, I'm not taking up a lot of time, but I just want to read a little part here.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah.
It says that Helen and Rufus Bush Douglas lived in a 2-story wooden home on a slight incline in the junction overlooking the Paradise Bridge, a 3-arch design bridge built in 1813 by the British in the village of Paradise, located in the parish of St. Andrews. The original wooden structure house was replaced. Paradise Junction had 3 main pillars of commercial activity. The Shell Antilles gas station was the focal point. It was the only gas station between the town of Grenville in the south and Surtees in the north. Across the street from the Shell gas station was Mr. Baptiste's rum shop. It was one of the few grocery shops in Paradise, and its location in the junction made it the most popular shop north of Grenville. Mr. Baptiste's rum shop, as the folks refer to it, was the most popular gathering spot in Paradise. On payday, usually Friday, when the workers from Paradise Estates were paid, Mr. Baptiste's rum shop, the section that sold rum, was alive with workers who became revelers and junkards after consuming an overabundance of pure river and twine rum. So you see what I'm saying? So you're capturing what's happening in
and now you're
village.
just bringing my memory back to what happened in Ledig as well.
Exactly. So you have to kind of write it in that context. So the generation 10 years from now reading it can feel that presence there. So it's the same thing we want to do. So we have people in Ledig, in Grenville, they die and nothing happens. Where's the record of them? We don't have them, and we have to document that. So
I am working, and you promised to help me with that with some friends on bringing forth a project. Well, it would be villages. We have a working name, and it's like who lived in your village and who contributed. So we document this. Even now in Ledig, I started to, I have a who is who of Ledig, but I started to document people's age.
Excellent.
How long they live there. One thing you said, which I didn't think of doing, I have recordings and I lost lots. I had an accident, a tree fell on my house, but is to document their voices.
Correct. Yes.
So that would be that's a good area to start, because some people find it hard to write.
Yes, they wouldn't write. I mean, this is my biggest challenge, is asking people. I said, okay, well, just write everything in one. They don't. So most of the times you call them, record it, and you have to write it yourself.
Right.
Labor of love. You have to want to do it, because people want to talk about it, and that's it. They writing, and so you have to record it, and then if you record it, you can always go back and edit and so on. So
that is such a big tip you gave me, because I try to get people to write things and they wouldn't. They say yes, and it doesn't happen. So getting there, easy to get people to talk. It's very easy to get people to talk, and I don't mind typing, but it's just I thought they'd want to do it themselves. Yeah. So we're coming now to sort of wrapping up. I know you're doing that research. You want to talk a little bit about it, the study, the area you're studying right now?
Well, the area. So I've written a lot on the economics of the nonprofit sector, and we, with a couple colleagues of mine, we have published what we call I don't know if you can see that here.
Yeah.
The economics. Yes. Economics for nonprofit managers and social entrepreneurs.
Wow.
I co-authored with a couple guys.
So it's like a resource book.
Well, it's really a textbook.
A textbook. Oh,
yes, it's a university textbook. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a university textbook. We use it for graduate classes, for undergraduate classes. So it's a textbook. Yeah. So
it's a book I should have.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll get you a copy. Yes.
Thank you.
Definitely. Send you a copy. But the reason we say all that, but my passion now is I work a lot with the youths in financial awareness, financial literacy. That's where I spend my time. So I have investment and entrepreneurship club, started at my church with youths from the time they enter high school, 9th grade, all the way up to age 30. So I have youth investment club and adult investment club. So we do things like teach them stocks, bonds, ETFs, teach adults, and they actually have brokerage accounts and so on. And then we also do things such as not just investment, but innovation. How you take your idea, how you develop your idea, how you bring it to fruition. The thing I have is that I'm at the university, we have an entrepreneurship department, we have venture capitalists, so they have an idea, they don't have to worry about the money, we can connect them with venture capitalists, we can connect them with mentors, to develop their ideas and so on, because at the end of the day, you don't learn most of that stuff in school, and to be a good citizen and the world in which we live. So these kids, they learn how to budget, how to build a budget, how to invest, not just save, but invest, and create wealth. Plus, one of the things that we do that really, I enjoy, we have what we call identity and reflection. Who are you? Ask people who they are, who are you? And what do you think about yourself? So we have, and we meet every other week and night. So we just meet with reflection and we just let the teenagers speak, because and because they are stressed.
It's like building a bridge. It's building
Of
a bridge.
course, you're building community there, So
Mhm.
that is my passion now. So I'm on the well, I'm the chair of the board of Raymond Junior Academy, which is an Adventist school here. So we're trying to, and in the community too. You have to do more of that. Because at the end of the day, how things worked for you. I mean, we went to Oakwood, you did all those stuff, but that's in the past. You got to deal with what's now.
Right.
And as parents, we always say, well, when we were growing up, as if, when you were growing up, you were the ideal kid. You were as bad as the kid today. I mean, the kids today is that before, when the parents or your neighbor tell you to do something, the kid has to do it, because when they go home, they're going to get a licking again.
We had no respect.
That doesn't exist today, and there are reasons why, because petty fires and all those type of stuff. So the kids now will tell you, hey, I'm not listening to you. You don't even talk to me. You only talk to me when you want to give me a command. And who are you to, So if you don't build a relationship with them and they say, well, the kids are so bad today. Those are our kids that we are saying are bad.
We made them that way.
Exactly. Yes. Enabling them. He said, well, I like the Caribbean so much. I like this. You've never taken them back home. You never teach them stuff. You never wake up and pray with them. And now you're talking about, the television. You know about the television. And you want to take television from them. How are you going to take television and phone from them? That's their life. So we set kind of unrealistic goal and talking about back then. I don't go there. Back then was back then. They don't know that world.
I tell my kids all the things. I was considered rude in my family because I've always read the Bible and I've always seen it in a different, not just the way it's presented. And so I would ask to go down the road and I would be told no, and I'll ask my parents, why aren't you asking me why I want to go down the road? And I get, my mouth wrong, it's so rude and all that. So I tell my kids this, and I said today, now in reflection, I can understand when they said to me, don't hang your hat where your hand can't reach. I used to say, I hang my hat anywhere I want. Mm-hmm. But I understand now what it means is don't put myself through the stress of trying to retrieve the hat. So, but they didn't have that explanation for me. So I think I'm a better parent in that I can explain to them. So I shouldn't be getting rude talk.
Correct. And that's what you want to do. You want your kids to grow up, and to be, you want them to be good citizens, but we have to give them the ammunition to do it, Mm-hmm. So my goal, I'm so happy that you have this program, because I think it's making a difference. It's helping us to connect, but again, I want to refrain from talking too much and doing more. That's my motto. Listen. My thing is listen and do it. Like the Nike commercial said, we have too many talkers, well, I could have done that. Well, do it. That's why, guys like Trevor and Trix, those guys are good role models because they do it.
They're doing it. And I want to say on the record that when we just got introduced to each other, you promised to help me, and I'm working on a few projects back home, and you promised to help and however you can. You do teach. I have the areas you teach in, so you don't even just stay in the economics. You also teach management skills.
Yeah, correct.
So you teach principles of economics, business statistics, mathematical economics, and management science. So you have
very skills. Yes, definitely.
Yes. And
the connections too, because I have connections in a lot of countries. I spend a lot of time in London too.
So I will be looking for you to mentor me, to help Grenadians, give Grenadians a hand up. I've noticed they're in a habit of begging, which I don't like at all. We had to plant our own little garden. You remember you had a kitchen garden?
Correct. Correct.
We had to do all these things. And I think that's important for them to have now, instead of them 2 phones, you know, and they don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just instantaneous gratification. I want it now. I want it now. Give it to me now. But, you know, it's like we're talking to the youths, you know, it's like, I think they're looking for guidance too.
I believe that.
As adults too, we have failed the youths in so many ways. You know, that we always see it from, well, these youths, they don't care about things. It's not that they don't care. They just have a different view because they're having a different experience. We have had 40 years we've lived. They haven't lived. And we have to set the tone. We have to set the parameters for them.
But even if you look too, in Grenada case in particular, this interconnecting generation between your father and your son, we left Grenada. We had a mass exodus in the 80s. So the youths, there's no bridge between seniors and youth. So that's why there's this disconnect, I believe. And so we now have to come and try to heal the breach.
Definitely. And we have the structures in place. You know, we have the schools, we have the churches, you know.
We have the churches, definitely.
One more thing, because sometimes I explain to my colleagues that I went to an Anglican school and they said the government paid the teachers, and they were like, that doesn't make no sense to me, you know. And we can pray in school and we can do we're basically independent. You know? And that's important. I'm a big traditionalist for certain things. You know? For
certain things, absolutely. I agree with you. Dr. Simmons.
Thank you. This has been great.
Yes.
But, you know, you say that, I get excited too. So yes.
I know we're going to do lots together in the future.
Definitely.
Thank you for all the memories. I was not part of SAASS, but I heard your name so many times that I could have seen you running. I could have seen you in school. I could have seen you being Cressy's pet.
Yes, I was Chris's boy.
But you couldn't be Chris's boy if you weren't a bright, smart fellow, because
no. And kudos to Allison. I gotta give a shout out to Allison. Because
all right, shout out to Allison. And thanks for sharing that blue tracksuit with me.
Yeah.
I honestly,
as we leave, take a last look at Uncle's tracksuit.
Uncle's gift to you.
Yes.
You know, one thing I have a relative that told me he was very proper and he always wanted to see young men do well. Yeah. My uncle gave me a story one day. They were jumping off the bridge in Balthazar. They were naked. And as people were passing by, they'd exhibit themselves on the bridge.
Yes, I know that. I know that. That's true. That's definitely true.
And Uncle pulled up and he disciplined them. Yes. And he said, go home and put some clothes on.
That's Uncle himself.
You have to represent yourself better. And he's
got to represent. You don't tourists to be passing and see naked people like, you know. Yeah. That's our uncle.
That was Uncle. All right. So I want to thank you so much for who you are, for what you've done, for what you continue to do, and the promises you gave us. And
stay in touch, because you know, once you guys decide to open up Canada, that I could make a trip. I have a sister in Toronto, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yes, Priscilla Charles Simmons. You know, she lived around by Markham there. So I have a sister. So I come. Yeah. So, and I have a lot of family. The Bland.
Come on out. We'll be waiting for you. I got my vaccine yesterday. I got the second one. So we're going to be opening up soon.
And I'll be there.
All right. Thank you
so
from
that, let's stay in touch and work on, at least pick 1 or 2 things that we can continue, start working on.
Yes. And we want to keep that. And I mean, most of what I want to do is for the youth in Grenada, and you're the man. You've been there. You're still doing it, and you're an expert in the field. Thank you so very much for all that. Thank you for accepting my invitation to come here.
Thank you for the invitation.
I had to have you. I heard so much. And I appreciate that you're an Adventist, that Trevor made me know how we're related. My relatives, my great-grandaunt always said cousin Bouge, but I couldn't tell. You know, you say cousin, when somebody's respected in the village.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I didn't know it was a blood cousin, but Trevor connected the dots for me. He brought me all around Grenada.
I told you the guy is good with details. I've never seen something.
Forensics.
Yeah, and from geography.
Yes, yes.
That boy knew each and every country in the world.
Yeah. Well, he's doing some great work in agriculture, in the industrial part, in the processing part. And so hopefully we can use all this. And I can see this SAASS generation, you're now ready to move Grenada. And I'm very excited about that. And I must say, we from Montrose SDA, we're with you. We were always there with SAASS.
And you see, the good thing is that when you write, it's good to say that 1980 team, you know, I have to do peace and word it now. See, Trevor, Tricks, myself, Tiki, and so on. We are all doing meaningful things now. So
maybe you and I can try and bring that together. And I always say, I think there should be our communities too. I don't think it's only a government responsibility. We as Grenada have to start taking up the mantle. Yes. We have to do this.
Definitely right. And I'm with you. I'm not that big government do this the guy. You know, I'm a big free enterprise guy now.
Me too.
So
and I
these
teach.
Things have to be done by the private folks.
Yes, yes.
We can do that through grants. There are grants out there we can look for. There are, you know, there are supporters out there. If you build it and it's good, you will find support for it. I'm telling you. You just have to have the right connections and look in the right places.
Thank you.
So
Thank
the
you
idea about, you know, the government have to develop and the government have to do this and the government have to put up something in this Andrews. Why can't a private companies or why can't an NGO come together and say, let's build a monument to all our sports heroes, all our cultural heroes in the villages, you know, why you have to wait on the government to do that? I mean,
yes, we can definitely do that. And I tell people, I teach a course in Carriacou. My mom's from Carriacou. I said, the more the government get involved in a project is the less direction you have. The government will tell you then what to do with their money.
Yes, definitely.
You lose control. You lose control. So
by the way, my dad is from Bogles in Carriacou, you know.
Oh no, I was thinking your granddad.
No, my dad is from Bogles. That's my granddad is Bush. Remember, I'm Simmons.
You're Simmons, yes.
God bless is Bush. But my dad was the
what's your dad's name?
Solomon Simmons, Ira Solomon. He was a superintendent of police. He was only superintendent of police. Yeah.
I'm sure I heard my mom talk about Mr. Ira.
Yes,
Ira.
Yes, he was a superintendent, and he's from Carriacou. You know, so
from we have that connection too.
yes, my dad is from Carriacou. My dad is a kayak. Yeah.
We're riding the kayak boat.
Yes.
Dr. Simmons, thank you so much. And we will do a lot more together. Thank you for accepting Romancing Grenada Carriacou Pitamatic. I did have an enjoyable time with you. I started very nervously because you're everything. I mean, from every facet you can fit in. And I was just afraid that I wouldn't do you enough justice. I have.
That was great.
Thank you. And anything else you want to say in pattern? Any advice for me?
Shout out to folks' names that I didn't remember, but they are in my memory, you know, and I really want to give kudos to this show, you know, giving people the ability and the opportunity, you know, to get to connect with each other, you know what's happening and so on. But at the end of the day, we have to make a difference. We can't live this earth and not document our history and live it up to, you know, memory. I mean, by the time we get a version of the story changed 10 times, you know, we have to document it.
We see that in broken telephone. I'll just quickly tell you about my great-grandfather, which one set of the family say he is from Lafayette, the next set say Paraclete, the next set say Bylands, and then a man that's 104 years old, a cousin said to me, I always know your grandfather from Harvard Village. So
yeah. So which one is it, huh? Yep, you know.
Yes, we have to do this. Thank you again. And I will say now goodbye, and to all the viewers out there, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And we're gonna be romancing Grenada Carriacou Pitamatic for a long time with Dr. Simmons. Take good care now. Bye-bye.
This evening. Thank you.